One thing I'm learning from all these off-season bold predictions, draft bold predictions, all that kind of stuff, nobody knows who the Bengals are going to take. And I feel like this year, of all years, is the most unpredictable time. Now, don't get me wrong, we're pick 18, right? So it really is unpredictable because when you're later on in the draft, like let's say pick 28, 29, like last year, you kind of have a general idea of like, okay, well, most likely these guys are going to be gone, right? But the middle of the draft, I feel like it's the most unpredictable part of the draft. Because at the beginning, you kind of know a rough estimate on who's going to be the first couple picks. You got top 10 probably. But then 10 to 20, you're like, flip a coin. Every single pick. And then after that, you have a general idea of who is falling and who is going up. And ESPN has their bold prediction that we're going to draft a wide receiver in the first round. And, you know, it's funny is, at this point, I wouldn't be surprised. Like, I know I've been beating the drum to death at this point. It's either Brock Bowers or go right tackle. And that's it. That's like the only things I like. Either Brock Bowers or right tackle. But as more and more mocks come out, as more and more talk happens, and you see J.C. Latham going off the board before our pick, you see players like Fuaga going off before our pick, Penn State left tackle going off for. You start going down this list here. You're starting to think like, wow, when we pick, there might be no Brock Bowers, no Fuaga, no Penn State guy, no Joe Alt. Well, probably no Joe Alt, 100%. No J.C. Latham. And all the players that we like are going to be gone. And then it comes down to projects like Mims, like Tyler Guyton, who are more not ready to go right away, but over time can develop into really good players. But they're going to have to develop. And we don't really have the OC offensive line coach to do that. It's a problem. Right? So you go down the list there and you're like, oh, this is kind of getting a little sketchy. And then you have some other players at other positions who are the best players available, right? If Newton's available, you have Brian Young. I keep saying Brian Young. It's not Brian Young. It's, what's the guy's name? Brian something. It's the D tackle out of, I want to say not Clemson. Might be Clemson. Anyway, so you have all these other guys, right? Newton, Byron, what's that guy's last name? You go down the list, and you start to realize, I mean, there are best players available at other positions. And I know there's a lot of different analysts, NFL analysts, ESPN, across the board, who keep saying we're going to take Brian Thomas Jr. We're going to take the wide receiver from LSU. And then there's other wide receivers also mocked to us. And how I look at it is like this, right? Because this is the last video we're going to cover until at least after the combine. When it comes to draft predictions or stuff like that. Because we're way too early in this cycle, right? But at the end of the day, it's like, we're just running in circles, man. It's very possible that they use a first-round pick on a wide receiver if no one else they feel like is available and ready to go at that said position. So, to say it's a bold pick of us taking a wide receiver, I don't really think we're going to. But at the same time, you know, as it says right here, Brian Thomas Jr., Troy Franklin, and Roman Wilson are all potential players that could be available. And if any of the other wide receivers at the top of the draft start to fall down, it's very possible that we go ahead and kind of, you know, jump on that train. But again, I think it's like we're way too early to even start thinking about this, right? Because if we go ahead and look at this draft, at this pick right here, according to Pro Football Focus, we have J.C. Latham on the board. You're taking him automatically, no questions asked. If there's no Brock Bowers, which in this draft right here, Byron Murphy. Thank you. Byron Murphy the second. If there's no Brock Bowers, which he's off the board, he goes to Brian Callahan. Penn State guy's off the board. Newton is actually still on the board. Yeah, he is. He's right here. So if all these guys are off the board, J.C. Latham is number 1. Outside of J.C. Latham, if you're like, hey, listen, I don't want J.C. Latham, I feel like Newton is number 2. If you don't want Newton, then Jared Verse. Then I would probably go with Kool-Aid, and then maybe Brian Thomas. And then the rest of the board as it falls. But again, like I said, it's just... You never know how this draft's going to go. And I feel like this year is like more unpredictable than any other year. Like, I could see them taking 7 or 8 different players. And only 2 of them are offensive linemen. Maybe... No. Say 4 of them are offensive linemen. I could see them taking, in this spot, who's available, J.C. Latham, Fuaga. I could see them taking Mims or Guyton. I could see that. I could also see them taking Newton. I could also see them taking, I keep calling Young. It's because the Brian Young, isn't O'Brien Young? He is the guy for the Raiders. He's a relative linebacker. Brian Murphy, I could see him taking that. I could see them taking Brian Thomas Jr., Kool-Aid. Like, there's all these different players they could take at this spot. So, again, until at least after the Combine, I'm done talking about these speculations. Because it's like everyone just wants to speculate on everything. And I'm starting to think, it's like, man, there's just... We'll find out. We'll find out in April. That's kind of how I'm starting to look at it now. We'll find out in April when it comes to bold predictions. Because technically, no one could be wrong. Right now, nobody who gives their predictions on who we're going to take is wrong. We find out they don't become wrong until April. Right now, though, they're not wrong. So, this is a bold prediction by ESPN, but this is the same bold prediction a lot of other analysts are saying, too. Because they're just trying to pick a player that no one's talking about, that will create buzz, create attention, and they put him out there. And it just happens to be a wide receiver yet again, right? So we'll have to wait and see. At the end of the day, we know one thing about the Bengals, right? They're going to take the best player available. So they usually aren't a team that goes based on position. They go on best player available, and whoever the best player is for the team. So if that happens to be a right tackle, it will be a right tackle. But if it doesn't, it doesn't. So hopefully we get a right tackle. But at the end of the day, I have trust in Duke Tobin. I have trust in Zach Taylor and Katie Blackburn to get this job done correctly. I just hope if we do take a right tackle who's a project, Frank Pollock does not F this up. I have a lot of faith he's going to F this up.